All right, guys. This next man is obviously one of the great coaches here in Australia with his Zoom Scrappy MMA, absolutely killing the game. It was a difficult weekend at UFC 322, but he's kind enough to jump on here and talk to us after, a big fight in New York. Coach Ben Vickers, I know you've been in Perth now for a couple of days. I'd ask you how you're doing, but, we can all understand it's been a difficult sort of few days for you guys head back into Perth.
Yeah, Dennis, thanks. Thanks for having me. Appreciate the time. I'm very much like a guy that I don't want to just be the guy that talks when it's good. Like I feel like I can give the gym's position, I can give our position post fight, and give some honest feedback and thoughts on the performance. And yeah, it's been a decade of getting flowers. So to be getting some shade is a new experience, but not a new experience in my life, fortunately. We've had plenty of shade over the years, and I'm sure there's plenty more to come. But first and foremost, I'd just like to start with the fact that I'm super proud of Jack. I love everything he's done. I love everything about him. I love the way he carries himself. He didn't become a bad fighter overnight. He didn't become a bad fighter because he lost to Islam Makhachev. So first and foremost, I want to give a shout out to Jack because he's the man. I love him. I'll always love him. And whether he wins another world title, which I'm pretty sure he will, or he doesn't, he's achieved so much and conquered so much in his life that I'll always be super, super proud of him. And secondly, I'd really like to praise Islam for his performance. You can make yourself look an idiot when you come on podcasts and predict things and they don't happen. I believed in everything I said, and obviously it didn't come true this time. But for 10 years, pretty much everything I've said has come true. So I'm going to stand by what I say. And yeah, this time I got egg on my face and I look a bit silly for some of the things I've said. But at no point do I feel that I was disrespectful towards the other side. I just said how I believe the fight would go down. And they put together a masterful game plan. And Islam executed that game plan to perfection. And I can give them nothing but props. And congratulations to him on cementing his legacy as probably the GOAT.
Yeah, first thing that Javier Mendez said to me after the fight was that Jack deserves more credit for the fight. I know a lot of fans have been negative towards Jack, but I don't know, there's been a lot. MMA fans, they're not the most positive fans. They can flip on you on a dime. But do you feel like some of Jack's toughness got overlooked in this Islam Makhachev fight? Because at the end of the day, we've seen fighters allow for there to be a way out. But even though it didn't go his way, he hung in there and kept trying for those 5 rounds. I feel like that's at least something that many people wouldn't have been able to do against Islam.
Yeah, and I think like in bad times, you look for glimmers of hope, and we're not happy with the performance. Let's put that out there. Like, I feel like Jack could have done better. I feel like for once in his life, maybe Jack didn't have his best performance and put his best foot forward when it mattered, which he's always done throughout his whole career. So, for the fact that on a bad night, when you have an off night in this sport, it's very humiliating, and on his worst night, I don't even want to like go into it I don't want to sound like we count a victory not getting stopped. Like, we lost, we were comprehensively beaten, and we need to do better. So all the positives and stuff like that, yeah, Jack's good at jiu-jitsu. We already knew that, and it was hard for Islam to submit him, but we didn't do enough good stuff in getting back to the feet, and we worked on a game plan very hard throughout the whole camp. Technically, Jack knew what he was to do in that fight. I don't really feel it was my role as a coach in that fight to technically guide Jack. He knew what he was supposed to do. On that day, I feel like Jack needed kicking in the arse, and I felt like that was what my job as a coach was. He throughout the whole camp, we had a good camp. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to make any excuses. You know, we had a good camp, and his last session, his fight simulation session, was great, and we were excited and positive coming into the fight. It's just tough sometimes with the bright lights and all that to execute. And unfortunately, our issue on the night was execution of a game plan that we put together, and we couldn't do that. But I still firmly believe, and people can, you know, unfortunately, I'm not on social media, so I won't have to hear the backlash. But I still firmly believe Jack can beat Islam Makhachev, and I believe that Jack will beat a couple more welterweights, and whoever's got the strap, we're looking for it. You know, we climbed the mountain once from our little shed in Western Australia, and we're prepared to do it again. And I don't regret anything that's happened. You know, this is all part of the story. We had 2 weeks in New York on the UFC's dime with our crew, with our friends, with our team, having the best time, getting driven around to all the nicest places. Don't get me wrong, we trained hard twice a day for the first week, and every night on fight week, late. We stayed up late. We did everything professionally, but we also managed to have a good time and enjoy the experience. From the Italian club in Perth to Madison Square Garden headliner is a remarkable achievement for our team. And as sad as we are, and don't get me wrong, I'm heartbroken. And this is me putting on a brave face, because I could cry. I feel so bad, you know, but it's not going to get us anywhere, feeling sorry for ourselves. And we must embrace the journey that we just had. We just had 18 fight win streak, a decade without losing, and Jack getting to the top of the world. I'll never be able to. I never imagined that happening in my career. I thought it was possible, but I never thought I'd do it. So already we're overachievers, but this is not the end. This is the start, you know.
Absolutely. It is like Makhachev said that about Jack after the fight himself, and also being 5 rounds in the octagon at Madison Square Garden with pound for pound potentially, when he's done with his career, one of the best, doesn't hurt a young fighter like Jack going forward as you guys get back in the gym. Okay, I got to ask a couple of questions, Ben, about the fight itself. First off, you mentioned there was a game plan. There's going to be people in the comments talking trash about how they felt like the game plan wasn't right or this or that. So just from the get-go, what was your game plan going into this Islam fight?
The game plan was movement, you know, but I feel like we never got the movement going. We had sort of roots to the feet on the floor, but for whatever reason, we couldn't start executing and getting to the first point of those roots. Just Islam did such a good job. And I don't want to go too much into the game plan, because it is a game plan we'll use again. I mean, I don't think there was an issue with the game plan, just the execution. But yeah, definitely more movement. We wanted to do more movement. Obviously, we didn't want to be on the ground for 19 minutes of a 25-minute fight. We wanted to do some damage. We wanted to do death by 1,000 cuts, you know, like just pick away on the outside and blah, blah, blah. But it just wasn't our night. So people can say, and also, who's saying that? Some uneducated idiot on the internet who's never trained a fighter in their life and probably never had a fight in their life. I don't care what they say, you know, and I don't hear it. And you know, other fighters have vested interests and of, you know, making these things out to be worse than what they are, to put themselves in a better position. And obviously, you know, a lot of fighters in the welterweight division are going to look at that fight and go, oh, look, there's a route to the win with Jack. So you know, I don't think I need to reveal the game plan or tell anyone like why it didn't work. You know, it just wasn't our night. And we're not going to dramatically change anything. I do see the mistakes that were made, and I do see some issues that we need to fix, but that's good. Like, if there were no issues to see that we could fix, then where would we go from here? So yeah, I don't know if that answered the question.
No, it makes a lot of sense. People will sort of talk about those calf kicks, right? So Javier Mendez told me going into this camp, Islam was just landing these brutal calf kicks on everyone, and it became a narrative of the fight. I think he landed 10 for 10 calf kicks. What was your reaction as you saw those calf kicks come through? And I guess we saw reduced movement from Jack, and he looked like he was uncomfortable. Is that the key reason that was happening, in your opinion, those calf kicks sort of taking impact a little bit into the fight?
Yeah, I think they definitely, like, obviously, I don't know if you've ever been kicked in the calf, but it's not
terrible.
It's not a very fun experience. But
I mean, Israel redid the whole game just based off calf kicks, right? Like, we saw the impact. have, yeah.
So the game plan was to be further away than that range, probably, and then switching stances a lot. And I think when the lead leg gets compromised early, and it kind of like hurt the game plan a little bit in terms of stance switching and stuff like that. So I commend them on their game planning against us. You know, they'd clearly like studied a lot of tape and looked at, you know, they had an answer for the head hands defense, you know, with the head kicks and stuff like that. But I couldn't tell you too much about the fight because I haven't watched it back. So I've only got in the moment, and I had some bad views, you know, a lot of the time of not bad views, but like the back were to me or whatever. So I haven't watched it back yet. That's going to be a very painful experience for me. And I will do it. Obviously I have to do it because I need the information, but I've only got what I remember on the night. And what stuck with me the most is that watching my friend struggle, you know, as a coach sitting there powerless, like, you know, call me what you will, but it's hard, man, when like someone you love is going through a hard time and they can't sit. I know what Jack's capable of. We all do, you know, he's shown it time and time again. So to sit cage side and watch and know that there's not really anything, I understood what was happening. Jack was having an off day, and please don't take this as a disparagement on how well Islam did. I just think Jack could have done better. Do you know what I mean? And I'm not saying Jack would have won. I'm not saying Jack would have done what I predicted and knocked Islam out if he'd had a better day. But I'm just saying it's hard watching your mate in his biggest experience have a rough day and having very little control over what I can do about that. You know?
You know, Jack's very expressive on his face, and going into the fight later in the rounds, he looked a little bit dejected. Going into the later rounds, and I know we'll get to you talking to him in the corner, but there's been a lot of rumors. You know, was he injured? Was he hurt? Can you sort of update us or give me any kind of understanding on that? Was he injured in those moments, or do you think it was just basically how this fight was playing out, and that's what we were seeing sort of from him?
When you commit to having a fight, it doesn't matter what the fuck's wrong with you. If anything was, and I'm not going to confirm or deny anything. When we decided to step in the cage, we believed Jack could win that fight. So, you know, that's all I'm going to say. There are no excuses here. We didn't do enough on the day to get the job done, and that is it. I'm not going to be the guy that wants his students' finest moment to be a close loss or getting to a decision. It's not good enough. Like, that's not what we're in this game for. We're winners, you know, and we want to win. So I sit here and make no excuses. Jack was ready, and I was confident Jack was going to win. And I was confident we trained him and put him in the right place. And you know what? As coach, I take full responsibility. It's my job to make sure everything's right, everything's proper, and Jack's in the best place. And maybe I didn't do a good enough job this time. So I take full responsibility. There's no one shirking responsibilities here. I'm sure Jack will take full responsibility for his own performance too. But as the coach, I feel like I sit atop the mountain, and I maybe didn't do my job well enough this time. But I'll learn from that. I'll move on, and I'll try and help Jack more next time. I feel a lot of responsibility for this loss, which Jack will probably hate. But I feel like as the coach, your job is to, you know, in football, the manager's the one that gets sacked if the team doesn't do well. So, you know, I feel that responsibility. I take sole responsibility for everything that happened that night. And we have to go back and analyze the week and whether, you know, Jack's not a guy that tells me a lot of how he's feeling. He's very stoic and he just gets on with it. You know, no matter what he's feeling, or he's not going to tell me. He's just going to plow through, and he's going to do what he said he was going to do, which is rock up to the octagon and have a fist fight with a man, regardless of how he's feeling. So we'll go away. Jack's not even home yet, so I haven't had a proper chance to sit down with him and talk to him. You know, straight after the fight, it's all a bit raw. It's not the right time to do it. But we'll have the debrief. We'll have the hard conversations, and we'll figure out what went wrong, and we'll try and put it right for next time we step back in.
Speaking of hard conversations, man, obviously in the fight, you were in the corner there and you were trying to sort of, you know, get him back on track. You were trying to talk to him and get him to sort of get a bit more energized, get out there and get into gear. those moments couldn't have been easy for you, especially leading towards the end of the fight. Take me into the sort of thought process there, because I did see you got a little bit of criticism, right, from people saying, well, why isn't he giving him like more technical advice? But people need to also understand you're trying to get Jack in the right mental state, right, to execute what you guys have been working on. Would that be
Yeah,
right to
absolutely.
say?
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, I haven't watched it back, so I don't know exactly what I said. I mean, it's really hard to remember what you say in that kind of moment. But, I don't remember
Yeah.
exactly what I said early, but I know there was technical advice early, because I remember after the first round, I said to Jack, he got held down for the entire round, essentially. And I was like, don't worry, mate. We knew this was going to happen. We knew he was going to be on the floor. Let's move the feet. Let's get on the jab, and let's try not to stand in front of him. You know that. And then, but I could see that it wasn't a technical issue. It was, you know, I think I realized as the fight was progressing, and it was more motivation. I needed to try and get him started, like try and kickstart this thing somehow, and it just didn't work. So I can handle the criticism. Like in the Bilal fight, the same kind of speech was lauded, and now I'm an idiot. So I know how it goes. You're as good as your last performance, and like you said, the fans are pretty fickle, and they want to be on the winning team. So it's easy to like hop off the bandwagon and do all of this kind of stuff, and that's okay. I've got broad shoulders. I can take criticism. I've come home. Everyone that I've spoken to has nothing but nice and positive and supportive things to say, and they're the people I care about. I don't really hear from anyone else. I'm not out here saying things to be viral. I don't get any benefit from that, because I don't have social media. So I'm not trying to have a presence on social media. I just shoot from the hip and say it as I see it. And some people are gonna use that as an opportunity. Sometimes it's gonna blow up in your face. Like I said, Jack was gonna knock Islam out, and he did quite the opposite. He got put on the ground. But so I look silly. But that's okay. Like if he had done it, I'd look like a bloody genius. I had a 50-50 chance of coming out of this one looking all right. So it is what it is. It is what it is.
But why wouldn't you think that, right? He's your guy. You know what he's got.
Exactly.
Like, why would you be like, oh, I'm not sure? Like, this is the kind of to be a great fighter, as you know, and you teach your fighters, you have to believe and you have to have that confidence to go out there and get it done. There were a couple of moments there where Jack was sort of counter grappling Islam, and then he tried to sort of take him down. He tried to hit him with that sort of judo trip that he's really good at. Was that a part of the game plan? What were your thoughts there when he was sort of trying to be offensive with his grappling against Islam? Because I guess that got a little bit of criticism too, people wondering why he was sort of trying to take it there with Islam.
I don't necessarily know that he was trying to take it there. We try and create off balances in defensive positions to make space to try and get out. And I think the fact that maybe Jack just wanted a little off balance to get an underhook and move off the cage, and then Islam actually went over, and then Jack ended up on top and had a look for the armbar. You can't fault him for that. He's in there looking for a way to win. It's not working for him on the feet, so he tried something else. He's not a one-trick pony. He's extremely good at jiu-jitsu. I think he proved that. He's an extremely good jiu-jitsu guy, and he's going to back himself in every position. He's a mixed martial artist, So we're going to take criticism from all angles for everything that we did, but like I say, that's the game, and you get plenty of praise. And after the last performance, there was a lot of praise, and we're very grateful for that. But we don't get too high on that either. We just do what we do, and we'll be back in the gym, and we'll be working hard. And we love this sport, man. And the opportunities that have been given to us over the years, and all the things we've done as a crew, like traveling around the world with your mates, winning big fights, and going to amazing places. On someone else's dime is wonderful, and beyond my wildest dreams. Like, this is my job, and it's a dream job, and I love going to work every day. And we had a shit night at the office, and most people, when they have a shit day at the office, they go back in on Monday and everyone's forgotten about it. Unfortunately, we had a shit night in the office in front of millions of people on the biggest card of the year. And again, please don't take that as Islam didn't do an amazing job. I'm not here trying to say that we lost the fight. Islam won the fight by being amazing and executing his game plan. And I'm really not trying to downplay that at all when I say that we had a bad night at the office, but that's my honest take.
All right, guys, just taking a quick break to thank our sponsors. First up, Manscaped. Look at this white hot lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. Make sure to jump on this bad boy today. 15% off with the code word submission, plus free shipping now. And you get 15% off the entire website. I'm talking about the most comfortable underwear that you're going to wear. I'm talking about the beard hedger, which is what I use to make sure that my beard is in shape and ready to go for the program. And of course, you got the weed whacker for your nose hair too. You got all sorts of potions and lotions that get you sorted as well. Manscaped is your one-stop shop for everything that you need when it comes to your body and feeling good. Just one more time, have a look at this bad boy. Of course, you could get the different color variations as well in the black, but this is a limited edition right here that you could pick up at Manscaped today. 15% off with a code word submission. You could use it in the shower. You charge it once, put it in your bag. Doesn't go off like a vibrator, which is hopefully not an issue for you. Make sure you can use it discreetly and easily. Keep your boys smooth downstairs. Manscaped is the place to do it. So make sure to jump on right now. Support the guys right now. 15% off with a code word submission. Free shipping. Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra in the white hot, or you get the original OG black, which is also awesome. And the beard hedger as well. Like I said, one of my favorites out there too, the weed whacker. Just so many products on Manscaped that you can't say no to. It's Christmas almost around the corner. Surprise that special person in your life with some Manscaped in their life. And also, of course, the boxes are beautiful. Open these bad boys up. It's just a great gift altogether. Just have to wrap it lightly, put it under the tree. You're all sorted, and you help the program. 15% off with a code word submission. And I want to welcome back our friends at NordVPN, who are giving you the best discount off your NordVPN plan. Go to nordvpn.com/submission right now. You get an extra 4 months on the 2-year plan for free. That's right. Extra 4 months on the 2-year plan for free. There's no risk with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. Of course, you can click the link in the description below. Try it risk-free right now with a 30-day money-back guarantee. And, of course, pick up that great deal where you get all those months for free. Of course, NordVPN, best VPN out there. And if you guys want to watch your sports, I know the NBA season is crazy right now. It's across about 25 different networks. All your favorite movies, all your favorite TV shows dispersed over about 100 different streaming platforms. What about discounts to signups for different streaming services, for different products, for travel, all sorts of stuff? You can get it cheaper by changing it to different countries. And of course, NordVPN protects your information during this Christmas period as you're shopping. Make sure no one steals your credit card information. Takes away all your information, so you got to reset all your passwords. NordVPN has you sorted. It protects you, it looks after you, and it gives you access to all of the best sports around the world. Next year, it seems like having a VPN would be a good idea to have to watch all your favorite sports all over the world. NordVPN.com has you sorted. NordVPN.com/submission right now. Pick up this deal today. Get across it now. You're not going to regret it as we go into the Christmas season with so many big sports being played and you guys having to be across about 3,000 different networks and streaming platforms to watch it. And by the way, Islam Makhachev submitting Dustin Poirier, Charles Oliveira, Moicano, all sorts of really good black belts. And then we saw Jack hang in there and did his thing. So again, it's very impressive. He was able to get through those difficult positions. There's going to be, by the way, speaking of grappling, Craig Jones has been, I know you're not on social media, but he's been copying a lot of shit. And people are saying that his stuff doesn't work, which I find ridiculous because it's like, yeah, he was working with you guys for a couple of months on various aspects of things. It's just crazy how people are just discounting him completely just because the fight played out this way. Have you seen some of the commentary around Jones and the negativity
I haven't.
he's got enough?
I haven't been on, so like sometimes I used to jump on YouTube and stuff like that, but I literally I've just stayed away from it because I don't want to hear it, if I'm honest. But Craig's one of them, like, he lives by the sword. He's got to die by the sword. He's out there bantering and making videos and stuff like that. So I'm sure he'll cop the criticism. What I would say is everything that we worked on in terms of submission defense worked. So there was new stuff we added to the game. DAS defense, head and arm defense, Kimura defense, all the stuff that Islam's really good at that half guard position, shutting down those positions. We worked really hard on, and I think that worked. It was just the next phase that we couldn't quite get going, and we know why. I know exactly why, but I'm not going to put it out there because I'm hoping to use it again in the future. But we know why it didn't work, and it was just a case of backing ourselves a little bit more on the day. But them's the breaks, man.
Yeah, I feel you, man. By the way, obviously you haven't caught up with Jack in Perth, but how's he doing? He's still not home, but did you guys get a chance to chat or spend some time together after the fight? I can't imagine that's an easy experience after that night at the office.
Sitting in this tunnel in a traffic jam for like an hour in the van was kind of miserable. But I have spoken to Jack, of course. We spoke to him obviously on the night. And then the next day he went off to join his family and go off and enjoy some downtime. And I flew home. So, but we've been texting and stuff. And yeah, Jack's devastated. Of course he is. He's a competitor. He's not a guy that's ever going to be going, well, I did a good job and I didn't quite get, he's devastated. And it's going to take time. And there's nothing anyone can say to Jack that's going to help. Well, that's going to get him over this. He has to deal with this himself, and he's okay. And we're not defined by MMA. We have a wonderful life and we love our life. We have great families. We live in a wonderful place. We've got a great gym and a great team. And we enjoy the process as well as the fighting side of things. And yeah, glory's great, but we get to live our dream every day. And like I said, we've just spent 2 weeks in New York doing mad things that some people will never get to do. He just jumped on the Ali Frazier scale. He headlined and had a whole card built around him at MSG. And yeah, it is a sour experience now because we didn't win and we expected to win and we wanted to bring the belt back and we wanted a little ceremonial belt that said MSG on it. All of these things, I'm not going to lie, it hurts. It's one of the most painful things that's ever happened to me in my life. So it must be 20 times as bad for Jack. But we're blessed people, man. And that will never change. We are blessed people. We live a blessed life. When I got home, my kids were pleased to see me. My wife was pleased to see me. My friends were pleased to see me. And that's what fucking matters at the end of the day. Fighting's comes and goes in a blink of an eye in the scheme of life. And I am not standing here saying I don't want to win the world title again. But if I never did, I've achieved way more than I ever thought I would achieve. And so has Jack. So I sit here proud, sad, yes, but proud.
Well said, man. I didn't know you get an MSG belt. That's crazy. Hey, by the way, the welterweight division, there's just so many great fights for you guys. Obviously, you still want to chat to Jack, but how crazy is it? Obviously, you were focused on his fight with Islam, but the way that Prates knocked out Leon Edwards, the way that Morales destroyed Sean Brady, overnight, things just completely changed in the division. So many people got taken out. You probably haven't had a chance to think about it, but that creates a lot of fun opponents for Jack as you guys
absolutely
get ready to come back, right?
Yeah, and I think the benefit of the Makhachev fight is Jack can kind of feel like he doesn't need to worry about submissions anymore, which might be bad for everyone else because it will mean that he's going to unload even more on the feet, and instead of being the guy that floats around and picks people apart and the death by 1,000 cuts guy, you might find a motivated Jack who's pissed off, who's just going to run after people. Not run after people. We'll always use good footwork and technique and stuff like that. Beautiful violence is what we're searching for. But maybe Jack's a man that instead of waiting for you and trying to get you on the counter now, maybe he's going to come straight at you and just try and hit you in the face as hard as he can and back his skills on the ground. We're not discouraged by what happened on the floor. Yeah, he got held down. He couldn't get back up again. And that is disappointing and we do need to work on that. But, the bulletproof submission defense is something that we can use moving forward. So yeah, I like all the fights. The division set up real nice. There's a lot of interesting fights there for Jack. There's a big fight this weekend, Gary and Bilal. We don't know who Islam's going to face next. I would assume it would be Topuria, but when and where and what. So
you think it's Topuria?
I would think so. Yeah. Which
why?
I just got a feeling they want to do that fight. It's just such a big fight. I just think they want to do it. So but I just don't know. Like the division's so much flux, right? We've just had two champs pass the belt along now. So we've just got our third champ in 3 title fights in the welterweight division. Loads of contenders, loads of up and comers. A few guys that were at the top took a backward step. You know, it's really interesting to see how they're gonna to pan it out next. But I like all the matchups as well. So
I'd love to see you guys take on Carlos Prates. What a great fight that would be to get back in
and just
the
a
mix.
cool dude, you know, what a
Cool
like
dude,
interesting enigma of a fighter, and
loves
what a
Australia. His daughter lives here, I think, so he'd come down here for the next card. You know, it's not a
Well,
bad
look, that's
idea.
definitely a fight we'd like. You know, Jack is anyone, anywhere, anytime. You know, he will fight, and this doesn't change that. We're not going to be going, oh, can we just take a couple of steps back? We want to like a couple of big knockouts and let's get back to the strap. You know, that's the goal for the team. And you know, laugh if you want, say Jack's overrated if you want, but it's good to be like, it's not good. We would rather still be atop the mountain, but we're ready to climb it, and we're ready to show everyone again and get that underdog mentality. And we've had that the whole time, and you know, get a bit of a chip on the shoulder and really get out there and try and show everybody that, you know, the rise the second time will be more impressive than the rise the first time.
I know you told me over text message you guys are going to be getting back on the grind, back in the gym. So is there an ideal timeline for you guys to be back? Do you want to take some time and just kind of have a bit of a break after this crazy whirlwind in New York? Or is it just about seeing how Jack feels and maybe just seeing what opens up? Because this division, like you said, there's so much opportunity right now. It's so wide open.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, let's get Jack home. Let's assess the state of his body. Let's see how his leg is. Let's see how all his bits and pieces are after, you know, a tough year. He's been out of the cage for a year and now he's had a couple of fights. So let's see how the body is. Let's give him some rest. Let's let him have Christmas with his family, not even thinking about what's next. And let's enjoy and smell the roses, even though it's you know, you'd feel like that isn't like the appropriate statement. I think it's been a great year for us. You know, we won the world title. Yeah, unfortunately we lost it again to who is an incredible fighter. And we know what the level is, and Jack's confident. He said it to me that he feels like, you know, he can beat Islam, and you know, laugh all you want, but we firmly believe that. So that's who our sights are set on, and there's a few obstacles we have to overcome to get there. But we want this fight back.
Yeah, man. Well, he said it himself, Islam, after the fight, that Jack is going to be a dangerous guy. He's only 29 years old. He came back himself 10 years after being knocked out. So every great champion goes through adversity. But regardless, man, like you said, congratulations on a big year. I know it didn't play out the way that you would want, but like you said, Madison Square Garden, biggest card of the year, Islam Makhachev. You mentioned the roots where you guys came from in Perth to be on the worldwide stage and across Times Square on all the biggest screens.
Yeah,
I know you're not celebrating it, but I want to congratulate you on your success in the sport on the worldwide level, and I can't wait to see what's next. So come back on when you guys are ready, and I'd love to chat to you ahead of the next big fight, the big return. But regardless, man, I really appreciate you joining me, especially during a time that's difficult, to bring us some insight on some of this stuff.
I'll always be a guy that fronts up to everything. So if ever there's anything we need to speak about, I'm happy to speak about it. I don't want to speak very often, and I don't want to speak all over the place. I don't want to be a podcast whore. So, but you know, because I don't have any other platforms, I really appreciate the opportunity you've given me to come out here and put our side of the story across. And you know, thanks to everyone who supported us over the years and continues to support us. We don't not notice that, and the support and the outpourings of love that we got in person and since are much appreciated, and the hate fuels us. So let's go. Like, keep the hate coming, keep the love coming, keep it all coming, and we're not going to change. We're going to stay in our shed. It's summer now. It's going to be hard work, high temperatures, but we're going to get back to the drawing board, and we're going to climb the mountain once more.
Coach Ben Vickers, man, I always love chatting to you. Thanks so much for joining me here, and have a great Christmas over there in Perth. I'll chat to you soon. I can't wait to see what's next.
Thank you, Dennis. Appreciate it, mate.